Lois Wilkerson could be loving, protective, and even funny sometimes. But there were moments when she completely lost it and went way too far. So these are the times she crossed every possible line and made everyone wonder if she'd finally snap for good.
Life is unfair.
This episode happened super early in the series, and it really set the tone for what kind of mother Lois was going to be. She wakes up to find her beautiful red anniversary dress completely destroyed, burned, and shoved down the toilet. Instead of just grounding them or taking away privileges like a normal parent, Lois decides to go full interrogation mode.
I want a straight answer! Who did this?
She makes Malcolm, Reese, and Dewey spin around on baseball bats until they're dizzy and sick, forces them to stand in corners or under the sofa for hours, and blasts this horrible music on repeat at full volume. The whole thing feels like a scene from a military prison camp, not a family home. What gets me about this episode is how she genuinely enjoys watching them suffer. She's not even that interested in finding out who actually did it anymore. She just wants all three of them to break. It's just so wild. When you watch it, you realize this woman has no off switch when she gets angry. She'll keep going until someone cracks or until she gets bored. It's psychological warfare on children, and it only gets worse from here. But somehow this seems tame compared to the public humiliation she inflicts later on.
Life is unfair.
Here, Lois gets pulled over by a cop named Officer Stockton after he claims she cut off another car in a parking lot. She insists she did nothing wrong and that he's only targeting her because she refused to give him free iced tea at the Lucky 8 earlier that day.
It's because I made you pay for that iced tea.
Oh, was that you?
Honestly, watching this episode made me realize how terrifying her stubbornness can be. Things get worse when the computer check reveals she has 16 unpaid parking tickets in her name, and she gets arrested on the spot.
There is no way I have 16 unpaid parking tickets!
When Hal bails her out, they discover Frances got all those tickets using her car at military school. Lois forces Frances to pay back every cent, totaling over $700, and tells him he's not allowed to come home until he does. The punishment itself is already extreme, but then she decides to fight the original traffic violation in court. What gets me is how she'd rather destroy her family's finances and drag everyone to court than admit she made one mistake. Eventually, Hal has to beg her to drop the case, and you can see it physically hurts her to say she was wrong.
Life is unfair.
In this episode, Lois gets selected for jury duty, and at first she's actually excited about it because it gets her away from the chaos at home. The case is about a 17-year-old kid named Marty who allegedly stole a motorcycle. Lois initially votes guilty along with everyone else, but then notices how eager the other jurors are to just vote and leave without actually discussing anything. They don't care about the case, they just want to go home early. So Lois does something completely insane. She changes her vote to not guilty purely out of spite to force everyone to stay longer and properly analyze the case. She doesn't actually think the kid is innocent, she just wants to punish the other jurors for trying to rush through their civic duty. The other jurors are missing work and family time while Lois sits there with this smug look on her face, making them go over every single piece of evidence again and again. She keeps them there for hours asking pointless questions and dragging out discussions just because she can. What makes it worse is how she genuinely believes she's doing the right thing, and they deserve to suffer for trying to leave early. But the damage is already done, and everyone hates her guts. Still not as humiliating as what she did next.
Life is unfair.
Malcolm gets a job at the Lucky 8 where Lois works, and he thinks it's going to be fine because his mom wouldn't embarrass him at work, right? Wrong. The store's Uncle Sam mascot gets fired for being drunk, and Lois decides Malcolm should replace him. She makes him get up on stilts in a full costume and sing promotions into a megaphone right in front of the store where anyone from his school could see him. Like, this is pure humiliation, and she knows it. Malcolm is already the awkward, smart kid who gets bullied at school, and now his own mother is making him look like a complete idiot in public. When he tries to refuse, she threatens him with his job and reminds him that she has total power over him. The look on his face while he's up there is pure misery. What really gets me is how she could have given him any normal task like stocking shelves, cleaning, or something simple, but she specifically chose the most embarrassing thing possible. She even stands there watching him suffer with this satisfied look on her face. Then later she finds job applications in his backpack and drags him away from a hockey game to yell at him. She tells him he can't get a job without her supervision and that the family has too much invested in him.
I'm not going to risk your future by giving you even a second of freedom. This family has too much invested in you.
She even jokes about finding him a proper wife so he can have his precious space. Her need to control every aspect of his life was suffocating. But this is literally nothing compared to what she did next.
Life is unfair.
The family, as usual, is completely broke during Christmas, and they were trying to figure out how to afford presents for everyone. However, Lois goes to the mall parking lot and another woman hits her car. Lois asks for a simple apology, but the woman refuses and acts like Lois is overreacting about her car's resale value. So Lois demonstrates what an apology looks like by slamming her own car door into the woman's vehicle and sarcastically saying,
I'm sorry.
The woman strikes back without apologizing, which makes Lois do it again, but harder this time. This escalates into a full demolition derby right there in the parking lot, with both of them ramming their cars into each other over and over again until both vehicles are completely destroyed and smoking. It is honestly one of the most insane episodes in the series. When Lois gets home, she admits to Hal that she completely lost control, and it felt like an out-of-body experience. But here's the scary part. She says she would absolutely do it again because it felt that good.
I'd do it all over again. It felt great.
Hal points out how lucky she is that no cops showed up to arrest her. The craziest thing about this whole situation is how she describes it almost fondly, like she enjoyed watching that woman's car get totaled just as much as her own. Now the family has no car and no money for Christmas presents because Lois couldn't walk away from a minor scratch. Her rage was so intense that she was willing to destroy her own property and ruin Christmas just to hurt someone else who disrespected her. But how far can Lois take that rage is exactly what we see in this next episode.
Life is unfair.
Reese joins the army under a fake name and deserts in Afghanistan. And when Lois finds out, she completely loses her mind.
They can have him back to us in 6 months. 6 months! They'll have him back to us in 6 months?
She goes to the army recruiters demanding information, but they won't tell her anything. But Lois doesn't care about any of that. She's so obsessed with finding Reese that she goes to his old boot camp, gets his file information, and then does the most insane thing imaginable. She sells the family car and flies to Afghanistan. She tracks Reese down all the way to some small town where he's wandering around after going AWOL. When she finally finds him, instead of being relieved he's alive, she immediately starts yelling at him about how filthy he is and how his nails are a mess. The woman flew halfway around the world through a war zone, and her first concern is that he's been dirty, I guess. Then she drags him all the way back home by his ear while screaming about how much trouble he's gonna be in.
Well, the fun stops now, young man. Oh, you are in so much trouble.
Most parents would just let the army handle it or wait for him to come back, but not Lois. She had to personally hunt him down across multiple countries because her need for control is that extreme. However, for this next outbreak, she actually had a valid reason.
Life is unfair.
4 high school girls pull a cruel prank on Reese by pretending one of them wants to date him, then showing up with an actual pig as his date while they take pictures and humiliate him. Reese is completely devastated and won't stop crying. Lois goes to the principal, but he just laughs it off like it's no big deal. So she decides to take matters into her own hands and goes on a full revenge mission against these teenage girls. She fills the first girl's helmet with gum, so the janitor has to cut off all her hair with a hedge trimmer. Then she breaks into the second girl's locker and butchers all her doll heads, drawing on them and removing their parts until the girl has a complete breakdown. What really shows how unhinged she's become is when Malcolm confronts her about it and she literally climbs out the bathroom window to escape and continue her rampage. For the third girl, Lois plants a bag full of balloons and lingerie in her room, then calls pretending to work at a hotel to get her parents to think she's planning to go crazy with her boyfriend. The girl's whole relationship gets destroyed and she's grounded forever. But here's where it gets really scary. Lois admits to Reese that she actually enjoyed watching these girls suffer and apologizes for being a monster. Then Reese manipulates her into going after the fourth girl anyway. They steal Hal's pitching machine and fire paint balloons at the last girl during her date, ruining her dress and her night. Malcolm tries to stop them, but Lois and Reese literally tie him up in the back of the van. She spent days systematically destroying teenage girls' lives one by one and felt zero remorse until the very end. But even her guilt didn't stop her from finishing what she started. And that's gonna be it for this video. If you are a fan of Malcolm in the Middle or sitcoms in general, then please drop a like and subscribe because I have a lot of banger videos coming. Until the next time, yours truly, Sitcomniac.
Life is unfair.